Welcome to Urban Legends, and in tonight's video, we'll uncover what they don't want you to know about the Megalodon. An ancient predator the size of a whale, with jaws powerful enough to crush a car, and a disappearance that doesn't quite add up. The ocean hides secrets, and this one might just rewrite everything you thought you knew about this giant predator. The Megalodon was one of the most powerful and terrifying creatures to ever swim in Earth's oceans. Its name means big tooth, and for good reason. This massive shark lived millions of years ago, roaming the warm oceans of a very different Earth. Everything about the Megalodon was built for dominance. It was the top predator of its time, and estimates say the Megalodon could grow up to 60 feet long, maybe even longer. That's about the size of a school bus, or 3 great white sharks stacked end to end. It weighed up to 50 tons, and its jaws were so huge, a person could stand inside its mouth, with teeth over 7 inches long. They were thick, sharp, and shaped like deadly triangles, arranged in rows. They were designed to grab, slice, and destroy. The Megalodon wasn't just big, it was a skilled hunter. Its main prey included large marine animals like whales, dolphins, sea lions, and giant sea turtles. Some fossils even show bite marks on ancient whale bones that match Megalodon's teeth. This beast didn't just chase down prey, it planned its attacks. Instead of going straight for the kill, it would first bite the tail or fins of its target, crippling it so it couldn't escape, then it would strike again, finishing the job with brutal force. The Megalodon likely swam fast for its size, using a massive tail to power through the water. It probably patrolled coastlines and deeper waters, always on the lookout for its next meal. Its sense of smell was strong, able to detect the scent of potential food from miles away. Its eyes were tuned to spot movement in murky waters. Everything about this shark was designed to hunt, dominate, and survive. It's hard to imagine just what it would have been like to see a real-life Megalodon up close. Just the sight of one swimming beneath your boat would be enough to freeze you in fear. This was an animal built on a scale we can barely imagine, part monster, part masterpiece of evolution. And while scientists say the Megalodon is no longer around, you might be surprised to hear that some people say that it is still very much alive. In 1918, along the quiet shores of Port Stephens in Australia, a group of seasoned fishermen encountered something so strange and terrifying that they refused to return to the sea. The story was later documented by respected naturalist David George Stead, a man not prone to exaggeration or wild speculation. According to his account, several lobster fishermen came ashore visibly shaken, claiming that a massive shark had appeared near their boats. They described the creature as being as long as the wharf, which Stead estimated could mean anywhere between 35 and 90 meters. What stood out to Stead wasn't just the size of the animal, but the deep fear in the fishermen's voices. These were men who had spent their lives on the water, who had faced storms and known the sea's unpredictability. Yet this encounter had clearly unnerved them. They spoke of heavy wooden lobster pots being destroyed and dragged off, and of a massive pale belly gliding beneath their boats. Some described an enormous jaw and the way it moved with power and intent. Stead never claimed to have seen the creature himself, but he believed the men had seen something extraordinary. He later wondered if what they encountered could have been a surviving Megalodon. In the Pacific Ocean during the 1960s, the captain of a 55-foot commercial fishing vessel reported an incredible encounter with an unknown animal. The boat was anchored at the time, its crew going about routine duties, when an enormous shark appeared in the water nearby. According to the captain, what passed beneath and alongside their vessel was not just any shark, it was a creature of staggering size, one that he estimated to be at least the full length of his 55-foot boat, possibly longer. The event left a profound impression on him, not only because of the sheer size of the creature, but because of how silently and calmly it moved through the water. It didn't behave aggressively, nor did it circle the vessel or surface fully, it simply passed by, its shadow gliding underneath. The captain later described its massive slow-moving tail and how he felt the presence of something ancient. What added mystery to the story was how reluctant the crew became to speak of it. Most refused to give their own accounts, brushing off questions, or claiming they didn't see anything unusual. It was only the captain who was willing to speak, and he did so with a cautious tone, as if unsure whether anyone would believe him. He later admitted that in all the years that he'd spent at sea, he had never seen anything like it. Though he knew about great white sharks, he swore this was something different, something beyond current classification. No photos were taken, and no physical evidence remained, but for the captain, the memory of that encounter never faded. Arguably the most famous of these creatures is said to haunt the waters of the Gulf of California. Local tales describe it as a gigantic shark, much larger than any known species, with a dark body that has earned it the nickname the Black Demon, or El Demonio Negro. While scientists have never confirmed its existence, reports have continued to emerge from fishermen and travelers over the years, painting the picture of an enormous predator that glides silently beneath the waves, glimpsed only briefly before vanishing into the deep. According to accounts, the Black Demon resembles a great white shark but on a much more massive scale. Some estimates put it at 50 to 60 feet long. That size alone would make it a monster among sea creatures, far beyond what modern marine biology accepts as living today. The coloration is always described as inky black, a striking contrast to the typical gray and white coloration of known great whites. Witnesses claim it has massive thick fins, an unusually broad body, and a menacing presence that evokes a primal fear. It is often spotted in murky conditions or when the sea is rough, which only adds to the mystique and difficulty of capturing solid evidence. One of the most well-known and detailed encounters came from a sports fisherman named Eric Mack. In 2008, while fishing in the waters off the Baja coast, Mack reported that a massive black shape emerged near his boat, shaking it violently. He claimed the creature was easily over 50 feet long and moved with a power that left him rattled. According to Mack, he saw part of its back and tail breach the surface, enough for him to say confidently that this was no ordinary shark. The experience deeply unnerved him, and he was convinced he had come face to face with something that didn't belong to the modern world. This encounter drew the attention of the History Channel's Monster Quest team, which featured the Black Demon in one of their episodes. The crew traveled to Baja California to investigate the claims, interview witnesses, and search for signs of the creature. They deployed sonar equipment, underwater cameras, and conducted interviews with locals who had stories of their own. Some residents spoke of family members who had seen the Great Black Demon, others described strange occurrences at sea, boats rocking suddenly, schools of fish vanishing in panic, and unexplained turbulence. While the Monster Quest team didn't find conclusive evidence of the Black Demon, they did capture large sonar signatures that couldn't be clearly identified, adding fuel to the mystery. Reports continue to surface from time to time, with fishermen and locals holding fast to the belief that something massive and unknown still patrols those waters. Whether it's a relic from a prehistoric era, a misidentified whale or large shark, or simply a local legend that's taken on a life of its own, the Black Demon remains a dark presence in the folklore of the sea. Every so often, a huge whale carcass will wash ashore with large bite marks or entire sections of their bodies missing. These aren't exactly small injuries either. Some of the wounds are massive, as if something incredibly strong and powerful tore through the whale with ease. In most cases, scientists say it's the work of known predators, like orcas or great white sharks. Orcas especially are highly intelligent and hunt in groups. They've been observed attacking large whales, sometimes flipping them upside down to immobilize them, and then carefully tearing out specific organs like the tongue or liver, which are nutrient-rich. That behavior often leaves behind whale carcasses with huge chunks missing, and it can look like the animal was bitten in half. But some cases don't quite fit the usual explanation. In 2014, a fin whale washed up on a beach in Long Island with large bite-like wounds along its body. While experts assumed the damage was caused by sharks scavenging after the whale died, the size of the marks led to public speculation that something larger may have attacked it while it was still alive. Similar situations have happened in South Africa, Australia, and off the coast of California, places where whale carcasses have been found with huge circular bite marks or large parts missing, sometimes with little sign of decomposition, which poses some questions. Then there's the infamous shark bitten in half case from Australia. In 2014, a healthy 10-foot-long great white was found torn in half, as if something much larger had attacked it. Theories exploded online, ranging from a massive orca to an undiscovered predator. Although scientists eventually concluded that it was likely a larger great white shark or possibly a killer whale, the fact that such a large predator could be attacked in that way was enough to stir up talk of megalodons and sea monsters. Back in the 1960s, the British research vessel HMS Challenger 2 was conducting a deep-sea exploration when the ship reportedly dredged up a pair of massive shark teeth from the ocean floor. These weren't just ordinary shark teeth, they were unmistakably from a megalodon. Although megalodon teeth are found all over the world, these particular ones were much younger than anyone expected. According to reports at the time, the teeth were analyzed and found to be only about 10,000 to 15,000 years old. That's nowhere near the widely accepted extinction window of Megalodon, which is believed to have disappeared around 2.6 million years ago, at the end of the Pliocene epoch. If the dating was accurate, it would have meant that Megalodon survived long past its supposed extinction, right into the late Ice Age, and may have coexisted with early humans. It also raised the wild possibility that some might even still be lurking in the deep ocean. The condition of the teeth added fuel to that fire, and they reportedly didn't look like ancient fossils. Most megalodon teeth that are millions of years old become mineralized and turn shades of gray, black, or brown, depending on the surrounding sediment. These teeth were said to be in excellent condition, with enamel still intact and very little wear. That's what led to the assumption they were recent. People at the time interpreted their relatively fresh appearance as evidence that they weren't fossils at all, but rather the freshly shed teeth of a living creature. So far, we've discussed eyewitness accounts, possible remains of megalodon prey, and teeth discovered. But is it feasible that there's a real population of megalodons out there? To begin with, Megalodon was a giant. Estimates put it at over 50 feet long, possibly up to 70 feet, and it likely weighed around 50 tons or more. An animal of that size isn't exactly subtle. It would need to eat a huge amount of food to sustain itself, likely focusing on large marine mammals such as whales, dolphins, and seals. Today's oceans are extensively monitored, especially in regions rich with marine life where such prey gather. Scientists and fishing industries track these ecosystems constantly using sonar and underwater cameras. If something the size of a megalodon were actively hunting in these areas, we would almost certainly notice. There would be changes in prey behavior, unexplained disappearances, or signs of massive predation, and we just don't see that. Habitat is another key factor. Megalodons were believed to favor warm and coastal waters where food was plentiful. These shallow regions are among the best-studied marine environments on Earth. With so much human activity, it's hard to imagine that such a massive creature could avoid detection for centuries. It's not just about direct sightings. We'd expect indirect signs as well, like disturbances in ecosystems, sonar hits, unusual feeding patterns, or stranded individuals. Now, some people argue that maybe they've moved into deeper parts of the ocean. But this theory doesn't quite hold up either. The deep sea is cold, dark, and food-poor, basically the opposite of where Megalodon thrived. Creatures that survive there are generally smaller, slow-moving, and highly adapted to conserve energy. Megalodon, on the other hand, was built for high-speed ambush attacks and high-energy living. There's no evidence to suggest it had the adaptations needed to make the leap from sunlit shallows to the pitch-black deep sea. On top of that, for a species to persist over millions of years, it needs more than just one or two surviving individuals. You'd need a stable breeding population, which would mean dozens, if not hundreds of large predators moving through the oceans. The ocean may be big, but perhaps not big enough to hide an entire population of giant apex predators indefinitely. Their presence would ripple across food chains in a noticeable way, but current marine ecosystems are already fully occupied with their own predators, like orcas and great white sharks. With that being said, the case isn't absolutely closed. The ocean remains one of the least explored places on Earth. We've mapped Mars in greater detail than our own seafloor. Entire ecosystems exist down there that we've barely begun to understand. New species, some quite large, are discovered regularly. Some animals thought long extinct, like the coelacanth, have surprised scientists by turning up alive and well after tens of millions of years. So could something like Megalodon, or a close relative, have found a hidden ecological niche, adapted to a new lifestyle, and remained undetected? It's not likely, but it's not totally impossible either. Maybe a smaller population evolved to become more reclusive, changed their hunting methods, or shrunk in size to adapt to a different environment. Nature is full of surprises, and evolution can take strange turns. Science strongly supports extinction, and all the evidence points in that direction, but the unknown corners of the ocean keep a small door open for wonder. That gap between what we know and what we don't is what makes the Megalodon myth so enduring. It might be gone, but the curiosity it sparks is very much alive. What do you think? Is the Megalodon out there, or is it gone for good? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, turning on all notifications.